They delivered footage with a missing minute from the wrong camera that doesn't even show the cell. And now they're telling you Jeffrey Epstein's case is closed. Nothing to see here. Move along. Now, former CIA officers are breaking ranks, confirming what millions have suspected. The deep state destroyed the evidence. And now Laura Loomer, she is leading the charge demanding Pam Bondi's resignation. Russell Brand connected the dots. Diddy walks, Epstein's buried, all within a week. And the timing isn't a coincidence. It is coordination. And of course, the Prime Minister of Israel is in town. And of course, there are 2.07 million posts trending on X demanding answers. The DOJ delivering theater instead of truth. So what are they so desperate to hide? And who is really pulling the strings? Keep watching. We have all the details. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It's built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, it's smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. That's nextnewsgold.com, your exit from the danger zone. Link down below, or call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347, and ask them how you can get 2 5-ounce silver America's Beautiful coins with a qualified account. And when Colin picks up the phone, tell him Gary Franchi said hello. Okay, so we have some breaking news here. You know that missing minute. We found the missing minute. There it is. There is the missing minute of footage. Who is that? Oh, it's Hillary Clinton, right? Of course, I kid. This is one of the memes that has been floating around X. Obviously, AI generated, and it's amazing to see this, just how real it looks. I mean, the lighting and everything. But that's, of course, what people have alleged for quite some time, that Hillary Clinton and her ilk are behind what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, because we do know that Bill Clinton had an intimate relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, what's also equally interesting is we have this breaking news, okay? Roger Stone put this tweet out. He said this: why would Steve Bannon met with Jeffrey Epstein at both his New York home and in Paris after Epstein was convicted on sex crimes in Florida? Why would he coach Epstein for his 60 Minutes appearance? Now, this is Roger Stone, all right? This is the insider of all insiders asking a very serious question. Now, who replied to this? Elon Musk. This is the big bomb right here. Elon Musk is now declaring that Bannon is in the Epstein files. Now, if you think about that dynamic for just 1 minute, why would Elon Musk throw stones at Bannon? Well, we know that they've never gotten along. Bannon has never liked Elon Musk. Maybe Bannon was part of the team that got Elon Musk on the outs with President Trump. I don't know. But this is a very serious allegation that Elon Musk is declaring right here. And he's replying to Roger Stone. Okay. Taking a look at some of these other replies, we know Bannon is likely in the files purely because of the 15 hours of footage and interviews he did with Epstein in early 2009. Wonder when they'll be released. Megyn Kelly said 18 months ago, we'd hear from Epstein in a year. I always assumed it was Bannon's videos. Yes, we do know that Bannon interviewed Jeffrey Epstein. And isn't it strange that we've never seen that video? It's never seen the light of day. You would think somebody with Steve Bannon's pull and Steve Bannon's his reach would have released. I mean, I think we may have seen snippets here and there, but I mean, the financier at the center of all this, with a DOJ memo coming out, the 10 hours of footage being released. You'd think there would be something in there that Bannon would release. I'm really curious as to why he hasn't yet. But now Elon Musk making the declaration as clear as day, he's alleging that Bannon is in the Epstein file. So this is huge. And this is only going to draw a bigger wedge in the MAGA movement. Okay, Elon Musk, he started his own political party, the America Party. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. 4% last time we checked with his actual polling. But it gets even crazier, okay? Here's another post that Roger Stone put out. Why would Jeffrey Epstein associate try to help Robert Mueller send me to prison by perjuring himself at my trial? So Roger Stone, clearly not a fan of Steve Bannon. But, okay, we played this yesterday because this is all in the news, and we have to play it again because it does give proper context as to why we're not seeing any Epstein lists. Now, Truth Justice posted this, replying to Elon Musk 24 hours ago. This is why there are no Epstein lists and blackmail videos, because Epstein worked for Netanyahu and his Mossad intelligence agency. They have all the files and videos on very powerful elites and politicians all around the world, including in America. Now, this is not just me saying it. This is an official mainstream media news source. Okay?
Of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Now, as part of our investigation, we spoke to Ari Ben-Mashani, who is a former Israeli spy. He said on the record unequivocally that Jeffrey Epstein was working for Israeli intelligence operations, the Mossad, and running a classic honey trap operation. That is, lure people inside, record their activities and learn about their peccadillos and use it to blackmail them. This is a former spy on the record in the new book, Epstein, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Interestingly, this person was also the handler of Jeffrey Epstein's best friend and ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was said to have been one of the women who helped procure the underage girls for Epstein. She has denied that. But her father was Robert Maxwell, a media and press baron who owned the Mirror News Group in England and also the New York Daily News. He was a former Mossad agent. And according to my source, Ari Ben-Mashari, the business that Robert Maxwell had was turned over to Jeffrey Epstein almost in a switch before Robert Maxwell died in mysterious circumstances off the back of a boat in 1991.
Well, this is mind-boggling stuff.
Mind-boggling indeed. We're going to keep digging a little bit deeper here. Now, here's another one from Elon Musk 5 hours ago. Now, I should point out, he made the Bannon allegation about the same time as this post. He says, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? Now, Donald Trump made a statement today at the cabinet meeting. And personally, I was kind of like, wait a minute. Like, he was deflecting. The question was brought up. I might as well just play for you because we have it here, among other things, in our list to get to. Here's the moment. President Trump and AG Pam Bondi respond to a question about Epstein.
American or foreign being Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Okay, so here we have President Trump interjecting. The question was posed to Pam Bondi, trying to find out if in fact the allegations that have been presented, as we presented to you from mainstream sources, that Epstein was an intelligence asset. Now here we have, right in the middle of the White House, in the cabinet room, Pam Bondi asking the question. Trump interjects, why are we still talking about this? Well, because there's victims. There are, I mean, by their own admission, there are thousands of victims. So how can there be victims if there's no person to conduct the crime, right? And if those people are such high-powered individuals, if it all came out, it would just completely unravel. But at least we would have a clean slate to begin with. Now, why is Trump deflecting here? I don't know, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I mean, he promised to release the files. They all promised to release the files. And now Trump is saying, why are we still talking about it? Well, because now they say there's no list.
Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First,
It's yes, there's a time to talk about the success, there's a time to address the tragedy, but there's also a time to address a DOJ memo and 60 seconds of missing footage. Right? I mean, if you put this out there, people are going to ask questions. And finally, we have a reporter asking a question. Let's go to Pam.
to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Okay, so we're going to find out if that's the case. I mean, but it's raising a hell of a lot of questions, right? A lot of questions. I mean, who can ever forget this?
Case, it is, but in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it good? We have names that will come out, but they said there are no names. None whatsoever. Laura Loomer is on a tear. 8 hours ago, we need an investigation into Pam Bondi. She has completely undermined the Trump administration and direct statements made by both President Trump and J.D. Vance. AG Pam Bondi should be fired. Seems like she doesn't want people inquiring about why she let Epstein get away with what he did when she was the AG of Florida during the time he was doing those things to kids in Florida. J.D. Vance. He was quote tweeting Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec says, are you paying attention yet? The DOJ and Ghislaine Maxwell lawyers have made a deal that her little black book of contacts will never be made public. And he was citing the Times UK. This is December 30th of 2021. J.D. Vance, back then, in 2021, quote tweeting him, what possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's clients secret? Oh? And he says, and J.D. Vance says, if you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? I'm sure there's a middle-class teenager somewhere who could use some harassing right now, but maybe try to do your job once in a while. This was posted in 2021. So the sentiment has been there to release this information. Laura Loomer rips AG Pam Bondi over Epstein files. She was always lying. Here she says, please join me in calling for Blondie to resign. How many more times is this woman going to get away with effing everything up before she is fired? And then now we have Tucker Carlson. Okay, this just 10 hours ago, right on cue. Why is Pam Bondi's Justice Department covering up Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and murder? Cigar and Jetty has a theory. Okay, so, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. We're already 17 minutes into this clip, but I want to try to find something here that we can unpack for you. Let's see. The future of Iran, let's see, the moment Singar. Okay, the real reason she won't release the files.
people don't matter in this case.
Man, I think this, for a bunch of reasons, it's so obvious. It is salacious. People have followed it for years. The president promised to reveal the truth about this. Pam Bondi, as you said, went on television and said, we have the truth and we're going to give it to you.
Yes.
I think this is a big deal. It's a really big deal. It's bigger. So. I hope so too, actually. So let's just assess this logically. They're covering up, the DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, Trump is on the list, that they've got tape of Trump doing something awful. I don't believe that for two reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot. And I know him. He's not that, for whatever his sins, I don't think he's that guy, actually. I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But more, I think, convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity, you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
Right.
Come on now. So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story,
Bingo.
U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. I have a history of this. There have been multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside of the CIA perpetrated by CIA officers, documented in many of those cases. I believe over a dozen cases. This was a BuzzFeed news piece years back where the CIA specifically did not want to prosecute those individuals in federal court for fear that they would reveal sources and methods if they were pulled into open court, and they basically just made it go away. The only time they actually prosecuted somebody for child pornography was whenever he'd already being prosecuted for mishandling classified information.
Well, when they want to crush you, they put kiddie porn in your computer. It's why I don't have a computer. Don't own one.
Yeah, if you're an important person, you should be careful.
No computer in my house.
This is an important thing, though, is that we already have documented cases of them covering this up. I believe the CIA Inspector General, I forget the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, you wouldn't even believe the amount of child porn, that I've seen.
So there you have Tucker and Sagar and Getty proposing a theory. Here we have this. The former CIA officer, Jesse Waters, posting this 22 hours ago. A former CIA officer has just come out and said the deep state probably destroyed the Epstein files.
In this bull by the... I'm not blaming the FBI director, Kash Patel, or the deputy director, Dan Bongino. I think that layer beneath them, that's part of what we like to call the deep state, has taken this bull by the horns, and they've probably destroyed information. Look at what the CIA did in 1975 after Congress ordered that it release all of its files related to an operation called MK-Ultra. The director of the CIA went back to headquarters and ordered everything to be destroyed. And in the end, only about 20% of the documents survived. We're still learning about the FBI's operations against Martin Luther King 55 years after the fact. So now we're supposed to believe that everybody's telling the truth, that there were no files, there were no dossiers. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it because I know how these people operate. I'm not blaming...
There you have a former CIA operative. Now, here's a clip that we get to yesterday. Now, this was brought up in yesterday's press briefing with Caroline Leavitt. Now, I want to point out there's a lot of people online who pointed... Caroline Leavitt always wears a cross during her press briefings, and they said that, well, the cross was absent in this specific briefing. And this is what people are saying. They're saying that she didn't wear the cross because she knew she was going to be lying about Epstein. Take it as it may, but this is the question that was posed at the press briefing yesterday. We didn't get to. Here it is.
They put out a memo.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and happened.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now...
So more deflection. Here it is. This is trending. Epstein trending 2.07 million posts and climbing. So this is the number one topic everybody is discussing. Everyone wants answers. Now here's Glenn Beck's take. He's saying that Pam Bondi should resign, not because of cover-up, but for incompetence. He says not only is there a minute missing from the Epstein cell video, but it wasn't even the right angle. What the DOJ gave us was a partial view of the facility, which just misses Epstein's cell. So let's hear what Glenn Beck has to say.
The more and more
is if the jump in the tape wasn't incompetent enough for you. Listen to this one. Jason is here with us. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Glenn. What a morning. Wow.
Mm-hmm. What a morning it is. Okay, so Jason, what else have you found?
Okay, so the more and more we looked at this tape, I started looking. It was just weird because it looked like a janitor's closet. So door 46.
Janitor's closet.
And you were like, shut up. This is not a janitor's closet. I don't know what this is. Well, I was like, I could tell you there's a woman that looks like a janitor that comes out of supposedly the person, there's this cell that they're saying is his cell, which they're not, by the way. This was like people on social media were saying this was the cell. Is coming out with a trash can. So I looked around to see if there was any confirmation on what the cell was. And I found an OIG report from the Justice Department 2 years ago that shows the camera angle and the one camera that was actually working. So you can see the diagram, and I think we actually have it if you're watching this right now. There's a diagram that shows where this camera is. It shows where Epstein's cell is. And the big thing that stands out, Glenn, is this camera doesn't even have eyes on Epstein's cell at all. Like, not at all.
That's incredible.
4 different wings here. There is a service wing, and that's what we're looking at with that door 46. That's like a service entrance or staff entrance. Now, you can't see on the lower level Epstein cell at all. So this is what makes it look even crazier for that 1 minute that's missing. And I will say that, let me just say it this way. I've spent years and years and years looking at surveillance and security camera footage, as you know, in my previous job. I've never seen an over 1 minute jump right at a time that would be very, very, I don't know, just convenient. I've never seen that before in all my years looking at these things.
There's no reason. Why do you say that minute would be convenient? You're just saying that 1 minute being gone is convenient. You're not saying that particular minute is convenient. Is important.
In this entire time frame based off of this camera angle. So it's convenient, like, let's say 60 seconds would be great for someone walking across that lower level. 60 seconds would be perfect for if you wanted to like conceal the fact that someone walked across that area. That's why it would be convenient.
Here's why I didn't buy into this at first. Okay, 60 seconds to get in and open the door and then kill him and then leave. Okay, but look at the diagram. If you look at the diagram where the camera is, there is maybe a foot space where the camera is not able to see, where there is a door from the staff area. Okay?
Are you looking at, because I think it's hard to tell from this, are we looking at, is this diagram the top floor or the bottom floor? Jason, do you have any idea?
So it looks like Epstein. So I think Epstein's cell is on the top floor. Yeah. So the stairs would be
the upper floors, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at where the staff area is. Okay. Mm-hmm. See the yellow triangle.
Yes.
And the red box where it's his cell. Okay. So there is one way out of the staff area, and it's right below the camera.
Like underneath the floor, essentially, of where the camera is.
Yeah, on the floor. If the camera's up on a ceiling, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the camera's the camera is
from above,
from on the second floor, shooting down, and you can what the evidence that they're basically proclaiming here, and this is true. You know what Jason's saying is true, that you can't see the door of the Epstein cell. What you can see is a common area that, in theory, you would need to cross to get to the cell. What you're saying, Glenn, is the camera doesn't actually show 100% of the potential paths to get there,
it
right?
doesn't.
Like you could come if you cross right in front of the banister here on the bottom floor, there's no way you're
going to see.
Right.
Okay, so wait a minute. So I just want to make sure. We are talking about the same thing. If you look at the videotape, it's the white room downstairs, right? So it's where the garbage can is down there.
Below
so
that.
Epstein's room would be below the garbage can.
No, the Epstein's room, if you look out, if you the area that you can see, and I apologize for radio listeners here that aren't seeing this visual, but I want to make sure we get this right. There's an open area where the banister is like and it shows the common area behind it, right?
Okay.
If you go to the...
Okay, so basically, I'm going to make this large because they're just running on here. Okay, that red box, Epstein's cell, and if you're like basically facing out of the cell, directly to the left is what he's referring to. Directly to the left, if you're standing facing out of the cell, directly to the left in that white area that's not highlighted by the yellow triangle, there is what he believes is an area where somebody could enter or exit without being seen by the camera. That is what I believe Glenn Beck is trying to get at here by analyzing this. Now, we have some other people. Okay, so look, here's Ben Shapiro. All right? Now, normally, there's a lot of things I like about Ben Shapiro. He says a lot of great things, but he's missing the mark here. I mean, he is clearly carrying water for the intelligence agencies, the DOJ, and the like. Ben Shapiro says the Department of Justice has put the Epstein mystery to rest, declaring there was no client list, no blackmail scheme, and no shady fortune and no murder. According to Shapiro, Epstein didn't make his money through nefarious means and didn't target powerful people. Really, Ben? Really, dude?
Open questions here. We now have the answers. And the problem is this.
Here is Ben Shapiro.
We now have the answers. And the problem is this. People who never hedged their bets, people who never at any point suggested to you that they don't have data to back up the speculation, that the speculation was in and of itself the conclusion that if you speculate without evidence, that amounts to an actual conclusion to an investigation, they're going to be very upset today because it turns out that the DOJ and the FBI have concluded that Epstein didn't have a client list and died by suicide, according to a memo detailing the findings obtained by Axios. Now, again, does this put to bed like all inquiries? Of course not. People can continue to speculate as much as they want. And I think there's still open questions here regarding how did Epstein make his money? Right, that's a very serious open question. And the speculation for a long time was he made his money from blackmail. But the DOJ and the FBI, again, run by people like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are telling you, I'm not telling you, they're telling you, people who are members of the Trump administration, people you elected and put into these positions to get you the truth on this matter, are telling you that he didn't, in fact, he was not murdered. He did not keep a client list. And he did not blackmail powerful figures. Okay, right? That is the thing that they are saying, not I. They are saying this. If you're willing to throw that over and claim they're lying, then I'd like to see you present your evidence that they are in fact lying. Because I know Dan. I don't think that Dan Bongino is lying to me. I know Kash Patel a little bit. I don't think Kash Patel is lying to me. I don't think these people are lying to me. Which means that if somebody else continues to claim that they're lying, they ought to provide their evidence at this point. And now is the point at which the facts on the ground have changed. And so either you ought to shift your opinion based on the facts that have now emerged, or you ought to acknowledge that this was never a fact-based inquiry in the first place.
And remember the Pentagon video on September 11th. They only released 5 frames of video. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Russell Brand. He's connected the dots with Diddy. It's interesting that both the Diddy and Epstein cases were resolved within a week of each other, concluding with no wrongdoing officially found. Could Diddy have made a backdoor deal to keep quiet? Seems likely. Could a similar deal have been struck to keep the Epstein list sealed? And I do want to point out all this is happening as the Prime Minister of Israel is in Washington, D.C., confirming perhaps that the operation has now been closed.
Spaces. Where's that list? Where's the list,
you
baby?
Think the timing of the Diddy, this and no list, is it sort of like a shift? Like, hey, all that stuff that was kind of building up, these people are doing all this crazy stuff behind closed doors, and now it's almost like none of it happened. That wasn't a thing.
I think that you can tell when it gets near real power. I've known this for a while because I've been working in regular media, you might call it, films, TV, print journalism, podcasts, a variety of media, live media. And I've migrated into different spaces as I kind of trusted instincts that worked as a comic. Oh, just tell the truth and just tell the truth about what you feel. You know, you can look at my stand-up. It's all out there. This is what, like, and I've always been kind of somewhat anti-establishment. So what I'm starting to sense is that as you get near real power, the risks increase. That's what I believe. So per your point, Jake, about the Diddy case and the Epstein list, a lot of people believe that Diddy may have been able to cut some kind of deal to just keep his mouth shut and not say who was at those parties that may have been embarrassed. You guys look at the same media we look at. You see the kind of things that are said on X. You know the kind of people that are likely on the Epstein list. Do you imagine that there's a point where the powerful, their interests consolidate? Let me give you a really clear example. During the First and Second World Wars, and particularly the First, the British royal family and the German elites were intermarried and interconnected. Queen Victoria was married to a German. So while the population were literally killing one another in the most sort of brutal form of warfare imaginable and conceivable up to that point, industrialized warfare had gone from sort of analog warfare to mechanical, brutal warfare. Like, the elites were still interconnected and intercommunicating, i.e. there's a strata of society where your economic and social ties transcend national ties. I mean, and why wouldn't they? Like, if you're super rich and you're able to travel around the world, go anywhere, do whatever you want. Like, do you remember during COVID, like, just celebrity parties carried on and people went to islands and had weddings and stuff while other people were getting shouted at for not wearing a mask in a supermarket? That was an indication that society is stratified. The thing that's interesting about socialism is it's saying that in order to control corporate and commercial global power, we need to empower the state and make the state responsible and responsive to the people. But it never does that, does it? So that kind of socialism that's born out of industrialization is over. That's never going to work again. We need a new form of politics and government where your individual conscience can somehow be mapped onto what happens in your family, your community, your tribe, your nation, if necessary. But I would interrogate each one of them taxonomies and categories. What do you mean nation? Do we really need a nation? So returning to the question that Jake offered us, like, do you think deals have been done? Yeah, because Ghislaine Maxwell is otherwise in jail for trafficking children to nobody at all. All of them rumours we've heard are likely outlines and foreshadowing of some kind of truth. Where's that list?
Where is the list? Check this out. Michael Schellenberger, okay, and General Mike Flynn. Okay, General Mike Flynn says, I have a lot of respect for anyone who stands up to serve our nation, but when one does, you need to remember it is the American people you work for. The Epstein affair is not going away. An early lesson learned for everyone regarding this affair: elites don't give a hoot about children, you or anyone for that matter. There are two standards of justice in our country. One for the elites, I include the uniparty in this club, and another standard for everyone else. Today was another brutal and stark example of the two different standards we appear to adhere to in the United States. This has to change quickly. And he tags real Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and he quote tweets Michael Schellenberger. Michael Schellenberger, an amazing investigator and author. He writes an article for Public saying, this is a total effing disaster. This is a disaster for the Trump administration and how they are handling this, in my opinion. He says, this is a total effing disaster. A senior person in the intelligence community told us today in response to our questions about Justice Department cover-up of the Epstein files. If people think it's going to go away, the official added, I don't see how it can. And it's not going to go away. Everybody and their mother are weighing in on this. The ties are deep. Here's another one. Another clip from Tucker Carlson. Even Matt Gaetz said everyone was lying about Jeffrey Epstein's death. There's no way the story you're getting is the real story. I actually think that on Epstein, it was a foreign government that took him out. Wall Street Ape says that is why Gates wasn't allowed to be Attorney General. Here's another clip from Tucker Carlson. Listen.
Look to. Wait, what are you talking about? I thought we could all sleep well at night now knowing that Epstein legitimately killed himself, right?
What was that?
Did that just come out?
It's just two guys that I really like. I mean, I love Bongino, but he's a friend of mine. But you weren't convinced by that?
No.
Why?
I mean, just I've dug into that, and it's just so spooky what's going on with that, and how nobody. I mean, how do you charge a guy with sex trafficking when there's no end users that have been charged? Who did he traffic to?
Well, it's a great question. I don't know. You got me on that one.
I mean, right? How do you charge him with that if there's no? I mean, if that's where the trail starts, where does it end? We haven't. So, I think there's just a lot more going on than the majority of people know about.
What do you think that was?
What do I think it was?
Yeah.
I think it was a blackmail operation. What do you think it was?
I think it was a blackmail operation run by the CIA and Israeli intel services, and probably others. You know, French intelligence always has a hand in everything, I've noticed. So probably them too. You know, but the usual, you know, darkest forces in the world colluding to make rich and powerful people obey their agenda.
I mean, look, though, I don't understand why nobody has come out on it. Nobody has come out on it, right? I mean,
I'll tell you why, because they're all on the list.
Because if you paint the scenario, I mean, you get on a jet, maybe you're totally innocent, you don't know what's going on, two hot women come out of the whatever stewardess place, come out, and one thing leads to another.
Yes.
I mean, and then what happens? They go, "Oh, we got you. You're on camera. And by the way, these girls are 15 or 16 or whatever the hell they were, right?" And, but I mean, yes. If you're a married guy, it's pretty fucked up that you're doing that. But I mean, it's nothing new under the sun. So why wouldn't you just scream blackmail at the top of your lungs, like, I didn't know, this is what happened, and just come clean on it?
Why do you think?
Because they're repeat customers.
Yeah. Because they're so deeply implicated that they can't actually get out of it.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
They're all in on it. So, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe, because my final thought is right now. So this matters because justice delayed is justice denied. And when the DOJ can't even deliver the right camera angle, when they conveniently lose the most critical minute of footage, when former CIA officers openly admit evidence was destroyed, we are not witnessing incompetence. We are watching a cover-up in real time. The most connected predator in modern history with ties to presidents, princes, and power brokers, and somehow there's no client list? No blackmail operation? Just a coincidental fortune in a private island where nothing happened? Okay? Photos of children with Epstein, they're meaningless? 2 million Americans trending the story are just conspiracy theorists? So here's the question. Do you believe that Pam Bondi should resign over this failure? Yes or no? And even more importantly, what is your reaction to President Trump interjecting and changing the subject when that reporter asked that question? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. And while you're fired up, hit our merch shop. It's linked down below. We got Alligator Alcatraz, President Otto Pen, Trigger a Liberal today by visiting shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.